And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We got a good one today with Sharp Fangs behind the leaves. He is my favorite spirit. I just gotta own it. I always wonder, like, maybe there's another spirit I like more, but now it is this thing, and I would indeed be terrified if I saw this out in the woods on a hike, hiding out from behind some leaves with those little fangs and those beautiful white eyes. But I'll tell you what, I love the play style. I love how the whole goal with Fangs is you got to get out in front of those invaders and find a way to continue to stay with them. If they start outpacing you at all, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Blight is not your friend. It really will limit your ability to do things and get your presence around the board. The first Explore card is going to be huge today. So let me get into Confession Time with Greg. Dun, dun, dun. This is my second playthrough that I'm filming. I filmed one, and it just was kind of off from the very beginning. Just the combination of island I was on and the first Invader card, and it was just kind of a disaster, and we were kind of muddling through, and then I got the downward spiral card, so I couldn't get my presence out with any kind of consistency, because every time I put one out, one had to come off, so I wasn't turning presence into beasts, and it just was a very unfangs-like playthrough, and ultimately it was a losing effort, and I was like, that is a garbage playthrough, and I was gonna put it away and just edit it up and be like, it is what it is. And then I was like, you know what? I can't do Fangs like that. I need to give him a better showing. I wasn't ready to keep him locked up in this box over on my shelf, so we had to bring him out the next day and see if we can't show those French what is up. That is right, we are playing the Kingdom of France.
Hey, Greg here with the first patron shout out of 2022. This one goes out to Otis. Otis, thank you so much for supporting the channel long enough at a level high enough to get this fancy dancy shout out in one of my videos. Now, Otis is the guy who I can count on to keep the chat involved and engaged in my live playthroughs, and I really appreciate that. Now, he might be skipping out on some classes to do that, so don't do that anymore. Don't get in trouble, buddy. But I appreciate all the support and all your engagement, and really nice to have you on board as a patron. Now, if you want to be like Otis and help support this channel to make sure I can continue to make improvements around here, to continue to grow it and make it bigger and better for your viewing pleasure, go on my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. You can see the different tiers of support, see if something makes sense for you. If not, I really appreciate all the other things that people do to support this channel, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Please keep that coming, and let's get back to the action. Thanks again, Otis.
Now, as you go up the levels of France, perhaps this is the adversary that has the most little rules to remember. When you explore, if there's no towns or cities there, you have to add another explorer. You got to remember to add the Slave Rebellion card when you do your setup. Plus, whenever you build, if there's more than one explorer there, you replace all but one of those explorers with a town. On setup, we're adding more towns. It's fine. Don't need to remember that. But we get to level 4. Whenever you build a coastal city, you have to add a town to an adjacent land with the fewest towns. Slow healing ecosystem. When you remove blight, you don't put it on the healthy island or the blighted island card. You instead put it here when there's 3 per player. So in a true solo game, when there's 3, you can move them onto the blighted island card. Now, in theory, you still could remove 3 and put them back in the card and still be at healthy island thanks to the extra blight with that errata. But that's usually a sign that you're probably going to be blighted island if you're dealing with these 3 here. So again, we really need to stay out in front of France because we're going to have very little options to get blight back on the healthy island card. And then finally 6, after resolving an explore card on each board, add an explorer to a land without any. This does include the initial explorer during setup. The other effect of frontier explorers, where after you successfully explore, if there's no towns or cities, you add a second explorer. That does not happen during setup, but stage 6 does. The keen-eyed among you will see that I made some scribbles there. There was a clarification after Jagged Earth brought in the step and action clarifications that this will happen for each card. So if you do get into a situation, which can happen, where you have 2 Explorer cards, you would have to add an Explorer to a land without any for each card, not for the entire step. So that's going to go up here. Hopefully I remember all those rules. To be completely honest, one of the reasons I was hesitant to refilm this because I actually had a fairly smooth playthrough on the one that I lost. And I'm like, oh, do I really want to roll these dice? So hopefully I can remember all of that. I have been playing with France enough that it has gotten a bit easier to remember certain things. The rule I used to always forget was that stage 4 escalation of adding a town to the adjacent land with the fewest towns whenever you build a coastal city. But again, hopefully we will remember that. And hopefully I just prevent all those builds of coastal cities and we don't have to deal with it either way, right? So I'm shuffling the event deck now. Underneath the top 3 cards, we are going to put the Slave Rebellion card. So let me give this a couple more shuffles. Now there is a variant where if you don't like the utter predictability of the Slave Rebellion card, you can put it, I think it's between the 3rd or the 5th card. I forget what the rules say. I do put it underneath the top 3. We will definitely want to use that to our advantage. Remembering game state against France is a big way to help you find a way to beat them. The fear deck is not awful. It is 4-5-5. Only 4 cards until we get to Terror level 2, which is a nice demarcation point in the game that we definitely want to shoot for. Obviously, the 5 stars to Terror level 3 is going to also present a little bit of a challenge, but we'll see how we can work that out. And now we're going to take the 4 cards here, 5 more cards, 5 more cards. I'm going to put 5 cards underneath the Terror level 3 divider, 5 cards on top of the Terror level 3 divider. The Terror level 2 divider is there, and then these 4 cards here, and that is our fear deck right on top of you win, man. That is awesome. Notice I do have the high immigration tile for England on top of this tray. I use that to make sure I never take more than 7 towns out of the tray. Again, we only have a supply of 7 towns. That is the additional loss condition for France. Can definitely creep up on you and be a bit brutal, so you will want to track that. If we need to place an 8th town, obviously we do not have one and we would lose. The stage 2 escalation for France is really brutal, and that was one of the things that went very wrong for me in my other filmed playthrough that will not see the light of day. I got the only land type that required me to do a blight. I ended up having to do a blight cascade as soon as we got to that card, and it was really, really unfortunate and just kind of turned the game in a way that wasn't great. And then I got the downward spiral card, which made things even worse. So I'm going to roll a d6. I rolled a 5. We are on board E. Like that board for Fangs. In the last one I found, I was on board D. That was part of my problem. Again, board D does create some more variance from game to game, especially true solo. And unfortunately, that variance went against me. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick of board D. So let me go to board E now with this new playthrough and hope for some better results. We're going to have a city in land 2. Let's put my 6 Dahan out. We get a Sands Dahan in land 1, 2 Jungle Dahan in land 2. We get a Mountain Dahan in land 5, 2 Wetlands Dahan in land 8. I'm going to put a Beast in the lowest numbered land without a pre-printed setup icon. That is 6. We're going to put a blight in land 5. We're going to additionally put a town in land 7, a town in land 1, and a town in the highest numbered land that does not have a town, which is going to be land 8. I need to put a disease in land 2, and then as part of Fangs' instructions, I'm going to get a presence in the jungle with a beast, and then I could put a second presence either in 6 or in 7. I will go ahead and put that in 7. So we'll start with a sacred place there. I could put it any land on the island that has a beast. We are going to put the rest of my presence on my board. And this is a pick 2 spirit, so I will use these 2 extra presence tokens from other colors as ways to keep track of which of the 2 growth options I pick from round to round. Additionally, I have the element markers for moon, for fire, for plant, and for animal. Those are the 4 that we're going to care about for sharp fangs and nates. Need to shuffle up these other decks over here. I have my major powers in blue, my minor powers in green. We will likely need to get a major power at some point. There will likely need to be one land that we're going to need to do some chunk damage in that we will not have the capability to do it in on our own. But there are a lot of major powers that can really help us here. So hopefully that will work out. Remember, Sharp Fangs has special rules. You're an ally of the beast. When a beast moves, you can move your presence with it. That is huge. And then call forth predators. During each spirit phase, you may replace one of your presence with a beast. I like to do that early and often throughout a game. Now, I was only able to do it once in the video I just lost with, and that was a big part of my problem. I just never got Fangs' engine going, just with the game state and how it was early. I was kind of forced into a different strategy. Still like the strategy I went for, just ultimately proved to not be enough. And again, wanted to get a better showing on the camera because I love this spirit. Have I said that before? I hope so, because I mean it. It comes from a deep, deep place, deep within my Fangsy soul. So we're going to put these minor powers now all shuffled up over here. We have to pick a healthy island card. I'm going to shuffle up these 16 cards. Again, there are 16 total if you have both expansions. I'm going to roll a d20. D20 comes out. I rolled a 20. Well, that's not helpful. I rolled a 2. That's a lot different than a 20. I guess not that much different than a 20. They both have a 2 in the number. Just, 20 is a lot more. We're going to put these 2 blight on the card because the card said so. And then we get the Eric Royce loves you blight. Don't forget it, kids. We're now going to have to set the Invader deck. I'm going to take these stage 3 cards. I'm going to shuffle them up a little bit. Roll a die. We're just taking out 1. I rolled a 2. Now, this is a very vanilla deck. It's going to be 5 stage 3 cards on the bottom. There's going to be 4 stage 2 cards. Then there's going to be 3 stage 1 cards. So not any changes to the normal deck. That's a 5. That card's out. And then I'm going to roll a die for this. What do I roll? It's a 4. That card's out. So the Invader deck is set. I have my reminder tokens for France, the build reminder, which is again affected by levels 2 and 4, the explore reminder, which is affected by levels 1 and 6. I'm going to leave the explore reminder on the Invader deck because it's going to help remind me of the impact of level 6. One other thing I should say about level 6 before I do the initial explore is that when a fear card tells us to remove an explorer, instead we can push it, but you actually do not remove it. Now, you can remove towns, you just can't remove explorers. That is something else that's very easy to forget. France has a lot of these little finicky rules. So initial explorer is going to be in wetlands. That's definitely a better initial explorer than the last game. So I'm going to get an explorer into land 4, an explorer into land 8, and finally I'm going to put an explorer into a land that doesn't have any. I'm going to put an explorer into land 2. It has a city, does not have any explorers. And that's the setup. Now, why France and Fangs? Fangs is a very fast-moving spirit, right? He gets out, he's doing damage early, he can do damage consistently. It's a huge part of what makes Fangs so strong. However, I could have used him against Prussia. I just felt that France made a little bit more sense. They both came from the Branch and Claw expansion, and I just really liked this matchup and how it plays. I'm using Thunder Speaker against Prussia. Again, another really fast maneuvering spirit that could do pretty fast damage. So I like that matchup. We'll see that one next. Should be on the channel in about a month, if not less. For first growth option, again, I have a pick 2. I'm going to add a presence to a jungle or a land with beast. I'm going to add this presence into land 7. And then I'm going to get 3 energy. Now notice I took her from the top track. I want to get ranging hunt right off the bat here. So we get 3 energy from the growth option. I get 1 energy from the presence track. So a couple of options here. I'm going to try this one. I'm going to go with Prey on the Builders and Teeth Gleam from Darkness. Those both cost 1 energy. I'm going to do my element check. I have 2 moons. I have 1 fire. We have 1 earth, and we will have 2 animal. Now note, you really are going to want to get that 1 damage per beast, but I know I'm going to be able to get another plant next turn from the top track here. So we're just going to kind of keep that how it is. I really want to load up as many beasts as possible to land 8 this turn and then do ranging hunt as a fast power next turn. So what are my fast powers this turn? Well, with the 2 beasts, I do have the first and the third parts of ranging hunt. I'm going to have to skip over the second one because I do not have the second plant. I should update the elements. I did forget I have the animal tag here. So I actually have 3 animals, but I still only have the 1 plant. So I will have the first and the third levels of ranging hunt. I don't have any of the levels of frenzied assault. I will be able to do the first level and the third level in order. I just have to skip over the second level. So how am I going to do this? Well, during the spirit phase, before I do anything else, I'm going to turn this presence into a beast. Now, most of the time when you remove presence from a game, it's considered destroyed presence, and it can be placed back on the board by effects that will allow you to place destroyed presence. This is not destroyed presence. In the case of sharp fangs behind the leaves, the rules are very explicit. This leaves the game and cannot come back. So it's a little bit of a nerfing of fangs, and it's very unique to fangs. So just keep that in mind. Ranging hunt allows me to gather a beast. I'm going to gather this into the land 7. Now I can target land 7 because it does not have blight, and then I can push up to 2 beasts. I'm going to push a beast into 7 with a presence using my special rule, and I'm going to push a beast into 8 as well. And I'm going to leave that presence at 7 because I do need to have a presence in the jungle because of Teeth Gleam from Darkness. Now I'm going to do Prey on the Builders. I have to target a land where I have presence. Remember, I only got the presence in there because of Ranging Hunt. And that says that I can gather a beast. I do not want to gather another beast. And if target land has beast, invaders do not build there this turn. So the invaders will not build inland for this turn. I'll put these reminder tokens on the board for that. I have no other fast powers. We go to the invader phase. Jagged Earth rules, we're just flipping this over, not carrying that out. It would have been remnants of a Spirit's Heart. I have no earned fear cards. Obviously, I haven't generated a single fear yet. And now we go to the build. We're not building in land 4. We are building a city in land 8. We go to the explore step. We're exploring into sands. So we get 1 explorer into 1. We get 2 explorers into 6. So special rules for level 6. I have to add an explorer to a land that doesn't have any. I'll add this explorer into 7. Invader cards advance. I'm going to play Teeth Gleam from Darkness. I'm going to generate 1 fear and add a beast into land 8. And now we go to time passing and I go to growth. All right, so I'm going to do growth option 3. I'm going to get an energy and gain a power card. So looking for a minor power, I definitely need something that has an animal if I'm going to play it this turn. So we have crafted courses of corruption, gather up to 1 blight, isolate target land. When blight is added to target land, it does not cascade, so that's pretty intense. Desiccating winds, not really a helpful. Call to bloodshed could be pretty huge. 1 damage per Dahan. It's a slow power, or gather up to 3 Dahan. Do like that. And then finally we have promises of protection, gather up to 2 Dahan. Dahan have +2 health while in target land. That I like. It's a fast power. It needs a sacred site though, and I'm not entirely sure how many of those we're going to have. Because if I keep turning things into beasts, we're just not going to have that many. I'm going to take Call to Bloodshed. I like the fact that it has the fire as well as the animal. I'm not going to play Call to Bloodshed this turn. I will play Too Near to the Jungle and Terrifying Chase this turn instead. I'm going to add a presence. I can add a presence to a jungle or a land with beast. I'm going to add it to land 7. During the spirit phase, I'm going to turn this presence into a beast. Again, that's just removed from the game. I'm going to spend the 1 energy for Terrifying Chase. I'm going to do my element check. I have no moon. I have no fire. I have 2 plants, 1 from this card, 1 from the board, and I have 3 animals. These are both slow powers. I do have all 3 levels of Ranging Hunt. I do not have Frenzied Assault yet. So I am going to target a land that does not have Blight. I can gather a beast. I can do 1 damage per beast there. I get to destroy that city. That gives me 2 fear. And then I can push up to 2 beasts. I will push 1 beast back to 7. I'll push 1 beast to 8. I'm actually not going to turn that presence in 7 into a beast this turn. When I gathered a beast into 8 from 7, I would have brought a presence. And when I pushed one of the beasts from 7 into 6, I would have pushed a presence. I do want to have a presence in 6 to give me some options on how to deal with Terrifying Chase. As my fast power, it is just Frenzied Assault. So for a little help from the event card here, we get Rising Interest in the Island. Your island is unlike any of the invaders have seen. Their leaders begin to take interest in Tales of Strangeness. You may ignore their curiosity. We have to return the top card of the invader deck to the box and then add a town to a land without one, or I could Weave Lies, return the top fear card to the box, but throwing the next turn or Ravage. Each town or city does +1 damage. That is not great for me. Going to add a lot of towns real quick. Well, I don't have any air elements. I cannot do Weave Lies in the minds of their observers, so I'm going to have to do the second one. So I'm going to return the top card of the Invader deck to the box out. So we're going right to a stage 2 card, which isn't great. And then I'm going to have to add a town to a land without one. I will add this town to land 5. And now we go to Beast of the Jungle. On each board, add a beast to a jungle without blight. 1 fear if invaders are present. Definitely like that. So I'm going to add a beast to land 7 so I get that extra fear, which gives me a fear card. And finally, traps and snares. On each board, add a wilds to a land with Dahan. Let me add this wilds down to land 3. We go to the first fear card of the game. It's communities in disarray. Cities each deal -1 damage during ravage. Invaders do not heal damage at the end of this turn. Doesn't really help me. Now we go to the ravage step. Ravaging in land 4. It's only ravaging 1, not enough to do any damage. Ravaging 3 in land 8. So that means we add a blight to land 8. It does 3 damage. It's going to destroy one of those Dahan. The one is injured. The surviving Dahan fights back. It does 2 damage to that town, destroys the town, generates a fear. We go to the build step. We're building 2 towns in land 6. So first we have the initial build, and then after that, we replace that explorer with a town. And then we are going to do a city in land 1. I have to add a town to an adjacent land with the fewest towns. I'm going to add this in land 2. We go to the explore step, exploring into sands. That's awful. So we get 1 explorer there. We get an explorer in land number 1. And because there are towns in both those places based on the escalation, I have to add a blight to one of those 2. I will add this to 1 so I don't lose my presence. That's going to obviously blight cascade, which is really bad. And now I have to add an explorer to a land that doesn't have one. I will add this explorer to land number 5. Invader cards advance. What a mess. I am going to do terrifying chase. I'm going to push 2 explorers, towns, or Dahan. I'm going to push them into land 7. And then it says push another 2 explorers, towns, or Dahan per beast in the target land. So I'm going to push these 2 explorers into 7. And if I push any invaders, I get 2 fear. And now with 2 near the jungle, I'm going to generate a fear off the top. We get a fear card, and I can destroy an explorer in land 1. Obviously, 1 is a huge problem next turn because that's going to be blight cascade. What a really unfortunate event card. And then back-to-back sands. That is not good. Really, really not good. I lost my final tier 1 card. And remember, we're still 2 turns from the Slave Rebellion card. So that is not going to be at all a help to us right now. So time passes. I'm going to heal this Dahan. We now pick 2. I need to reclaim my cards. That's going to cost me 1. So I realized I forgot to take my presence during growth last turn. I have to spend 1 anyway to reclaim my cards. I will get another energy during the presence track this turn. I also get a power card for growth option 1. I'm going to look at the minor power deck again. A defense 6 would be wonderful. No, all of this is really bad. The problem is I can't do frenzied assault in land 1 because you have that blight there. It's just a very unfortunate turn. You fall behind with Fangs and you really are hurting. I'm gonna, this is really bad. I'll take Mesmerized Tranquility. I don't know if it's going to be much help this turn. I think we get the Blight Cascade this turn, which is really unfortunate. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add a presence where I will add a presence to the jungles. Yeah, land 1's just going to Blight Cascade, and that's just going to be what it is. Hopefully I get an event card that picks off those lonely explorers. So I'll leave all those beasts there. I'm going to play Teeth Gleam from Darkness again, and I will play Terrifying Chase. That cost me 2. Element check. I have 1 moon, no fire, 2 plant, 3 animal. Gives me ranging hunt. During the growth phase, I will turn this presence into a beast. I'm going to do the 3 levels of ranging hunt. I can gather a beast. I'm going to gather it from 6 into 7. I can do 1 damage per beast. Again, there are 3 beasts there. So I'm going to destroy this town and 1 of these explorers. Generates a fear. And then I can push 2 beasts. I'm going to push a beast into 1, not with a presence, and then push a beast into 5. And I'll bring my presence with me. That's all I got for fast powers. Event card. Bam. Temporary truce. Had I had more confidence in Mesmerized Tranquility, this would have actually been exactly what I needed. Could have actually used this and this in conjunction and prevented a blight cascade in one. I still have a chance to get lucky, but definitely wishing I had done that now. Temporary truce and lands with Dahan. One Dahan and one city town did not participate in ravages. This is the first time I think this card actually would have helped me, but of course I did not believe in the power of getting the right event card at the right time. So basically this Dahan and this city are not going to attack each other. So we're just left with that explorer and that town that are ravaging 3. We now go to prey on the heedless in each land with beast, 1 damage per beast. That's nice. So that gets a damage, that gets a damage, that explorer is gone, this explorer is gone, and this explorer is gone. So we managed to wipe out 5 explorers with the 6 beasts that were on the board. And then we have Speak of the Spirit's Anger. For each board, 1 fear of any Dahan are in lands with cities and towns. We have 2 such lands. That's a fear. So it's going to be up to this fear card. Can it give me defend 1 and land 1? Ooh, depopulation. I love it. On each board, replace a town with an explorer. So we didn't get to remove an explorer, but we did get to replace a town with an explorer and somehow magically worked our way into no blight in land 1. That's super, super lucky, and I will take it. After the last turn of events, this is much better. So what are we doing? We're ravaging in sands. Nothing to ravage in 6. Only ravaging 1 in land 1. That is not enough to do anything. This reminder can come away. Again, that city and that Dahan, they made nice and did not want to attack each other. Everyone wins. Well, I have more of a chance of winning, so that's all that really matters. We're now building. Where are we building? I'm going to build in land 1. That gets a town right back. We are not building in land 6. We are going to exploring into mountains. We get 1 explorer into land 1. We get 1 explorer into land 5. And I kid you not, that is the worst thing to happen because now I have to add another blight in one of those lands. So bad. Oh, that France escalation is just killing me. So we get another blight because of the escalation. Rough. So we are going to Blighted Island. Thriving communities immediately on each board in 4 different lands with explorers and towns. Replace 1 town with a city or 1 explorer with a town. That is not good. So I'm going to replace that town with a city in land 5. I'm going to replace this town with a city in land 2. I'm going to replace this explorer with a town in land 7. And I will replace this explorer with a town in land 1. No, I changed my mind. I'm going to make this explorer a town in land 5 to give me 2 towns there. I'll leave the explorer in land 1 and make this town into a city instead. So I did a town into a city in 2, a town into a city in 1, explorer into a town in 5, and an explorer into a town in 7. Adding the city is different than building a city. So had I had a built a coastal city, then I would have to add a town into adjacent land with the fewest towns. That doesn't trigger. And during the actual build step, we just built a town. I do need to add an explorer to a land without any. I will add an explorer to land 7. So I picked back to back the only 2 lands that were going to make me add a blight. So that's super awesome. And by awesome, I mean really not awesome. And now we can do our slow actions. I'm going to generate 1 fear and add a beast 1 away from my presence in jungle. Well, it doesn't make any sense to add it to 1 because there's blight there. If we go back earlier in the game, I probably should have taken and trapped the forces of corruption, but I was a little naive. We have 4 fear per player. I forgot to put the Blighted Island card over where it belongs. 4 fears, not a ton when I'm looking at blight cascade, and 1 and 2 the next 2 turns. I'm going to add this beast. I have to go from a jungle where I have presence. I'll obviously add it to 5. And then we're going to do terrifying chase. I'm going to target a land where I have presence. I'm going to push 2 towns into land 7, and then I can push another 2 explorers, towns, or Dahan per beast in the land. I'm going to push this Dahan into... Actually, let me push one of the towns into 1 instead of 7 because I know the Slave Rebellion card's coming up. I'm going to push this Dahan into 1. If I push to any invaders, I generate 2 fear, so a remainder of 1. We get our 3rd fear card. All we've got, hoping to get lucky again. All right, we're going to growth. I am going to add a presence to a land with beast. I'm going to add it to 1. Hope I get lucky there again. Can lightning strike twice. And then I'm going to gain 1 energy from the presence track. Might go digging in the major power deck. The problem is I don't know what the heck to get rid of. Then I'm going to gain an energy and a power card. Let me see what I can get from the major power deck. Give me an idea what I want to do next turn. So, thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. Range 2 from when you have a sacred place. You have to target inland, so that's not that helpful. 2 damage and either add 3 wilds or remove 1 blight. Remember, if I remove a blight, it has to go on Francis' card. This cannot go back on the Blighted Island card. If I have 3 plants, 1 fear plus 2 damage. Manifest Incarnation. Ooh, this came in huge in my 2-handed playthrough when I had green and fear against England. So it's target a land where you have presence that has a city, 6 fear, plus 1 fear for each town and city, and for each of your presence in the target land, remove a city, remove a town, and remove an explorer. Then they ravage. If you have 3 suns and 3 moons, plus 3 fear, invaders do -6 damage. Flow like water, reach like air. Target spirit gets +2 with all powers. Target may push 1 of their presence to an adjacent land, bring up to 2 explorers, 2 towns, and 2 Dahan with it. That I don't hate. If I have 2 air and 2 water, the moved presence may also bring up to 2 cities and 2 blight. It's going to be tough to get those elements to make that all work, but it's interesting. And then bargains of power and protection. Remove 1 of your presence on the island from the game, setting it on the reminder card. From now on, each Dahan within 1 of your presence provides defend 1 of its lands, and you gain 1 less energy each turn. It's a really great idea. It's just really hard to pull that off. Do you think that Manifest Incarnation is gonna win out here? Tempted by thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. I just don't think it's gonna be viable. Manifest Incarnation it is. I'm gonna drop Call to Bloodshed, and I'm gonna play this turn Prey on the Builders, 2 near the jungle, and Mesmerized Tranquility. So you know what? Let me take thickets. It's gonna be easier for me to get this energy amount, and I can actually afford that. Barely. That cost me 3. I'm not going to have Frenzied Assault this way, but this probably makes more sense. I'm not preventing any building anyway with Prey on the Builders because we have a disease in land 2 and nothing to build in land 5. So let me do my element check. I do not have any moons. I do not have any fire. I have 3 plants, which is going to give me the kicker for thickets, which is really the deciding factor for me here. And then I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 beasts. That gives me all 3 levels of ranging hunt. And instead of putting this presence in 1 like I originally thought I would, I'm going to put it in 5. See why in a second. So I'm going to do thickets erupt with every touch of breeze first. That's going to let me do 2 damage and then either add 3 wilds or remove a blight. So I'm going to do 2 damage to 1 of the cities. So that city has 1 health left. And now I'm going to remove a blight. So this blight is gone. And I don't put it back on the Blighted Island card. I put it back on Francis' card up here. Since I have 3 plants, I generate a fear. I can do 2 more damage. So I'm going to actually destroy this city. And I'm going to injure that city. So it has 2 health left. That's 2 fear. That's another fear card. That's terror level 2. Now I'm going to do ranging hunt. I'm going to target a land that doesn't have blight. Guess what? 1 doesn't have blight now. I can gather a beast. I'm going to gather a beast from 5. I'm going to bring a presence with me. I'm going to do 1 damage per beast. That's 2 damage. I'm going to do 2 damage to this city. That gives me 2 fear. Now I can push up to 2 beasts. I'm going to push this beast into 2. I'm going to leave my presence in 1. You know, actually, I don't need to do that. I'm going to actually push both these beasts into 2 and bring my presence into 2 as well. Mesmerized Tranquility I'll use just for the isolation. I'm going to isolate land 7. So there's no source of invaders for 8, 6, 4, which is amazing. So that worked out really well. But what about that town? Never fear. Slave Rebellion card coming up. How did I know? All right, we're going to do Slave Rebellion. On each board, we're going to add a strife to a town and add it to the town and land 1. Shocker. We're going to go to aid the uprising. Invaders or stripes take 1 damage per Dahan present. There are 2 Dahan there. That town is destroyed. That's a fear. Now in that land, we added Dahan because we destroyed a city or a town. Beautiful. This is going to go back under the top 3 cards of the deck after we resolve the next card. So we take the next card off, back underneath the top 3 cards of the deck, just like it was at the setup of the game. The next event card is Wave of Recognizance. When exploring, add 1 additional explorer to each land explored. No! Stop it. Too many explorers. So that goes there. That goes there. Stricken. Invaders do not ravage in lands with disease or strife. Doesn't apply. Retreat. On each board, push 2 Dahan from a land with cities into a land without cities. There are no lands with cities that have Dahan at this point. That is done. Fear cards. We have 2 of them. We are in Terror level 2. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan. 1 damage per Dahan there. Well, that explorer is wiped out. Again, that's not removing the explorer, so level 6 doesn't matter. It's just destroying the explorer. And the next fear card is each player removes 1 explorer or town from an inland land. Remember, I cannot remove explorers, but I sure as heck can remove that town. Invader actions. Ravaging in 1, nothing. Ravaging in 6, nothing. Building in 2, well, we get this disease that comes off. Now we do exploring. Remember, exploring, we're adding an additional explorer because of Land of Recognizance. What are we exploring into? Well, we're exploring into jungles. We would explore 200 jungles, but we're not exploring because of the wilds. So neither the escalation of France nor Wave of Recognizance will trigger. And remember that land 7 is isolated. So we're not exploring it to 7 either. So we don't have to worry about any additional explorers, but we do have this escalation. So I need to add a town to a land that doesn't have towns or cities, or I'm going to need to add a blight to 7. That's not great, so I will add this town into 3. Invader cards are going to advance. And now we go to slow powers. I just have 2 near the jungle. I'm going to generate a fear off the top. It gives me a fear card, and I'm going to wipe out that explorer. The isolation token comes down. I think I have to replay the same cards. For reclaiming cards, it's going to cost me 1. You take this off, reclaim 1 that I've already played, claim this, but then I'm only going to have 2 money. So if I only play 2 cards this turn, I won't have 3 plants. That's kind of a non-starter. I could reclaim cards, get 3 money, and then play those 3. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. All right, so if you followed that, you are a genius. So growth option. I'm going to do growth option 3 to get 3 money. So I'm going to spend 1 of the 3 money for growth option 4 to reclaim my cards. I gain a power card. I'm going to gain miners. Ooh, Carapaced land is a beautiful thing. That's really nice. Carapaced land, it's defend 3. If you're targeting a land with a beast, you get +1 range. Swarming wasps are interesting. Add a beast. Nah, don't love it. Gold's allure, have to be targeting a mountain. Don't love that. And then dire metamorphosis, not really going to be that helpful. So Carapaced land it is. Did those 2 growth options. I get 1 energy from the presence track, and I'm going to have to play the same 3 cards I did last time. I think that just makes too much sense. Might end up with a city in 3, but we'll have to deal with that as it comes. So it's the same elements. I do have both levels of ranging hunt, and that's all we've got. So I do need to get myself a sacred site somewhere. Remember, ranging hunt can only do damage in a land without blight. Well, I know I'm doing Mesmerize, Tranquility, and 7. We're just going to keep isolating that sucker. I'm going to target land 3 with Ranging Hunt. I'm going to gather the beast from 4, bring this presence in. I do 1 damage per beast, and then I'm going to push the beast into 5, and I'll bring that presence with me there. So now I have a Sacred Site in 5, which is going to allow me to do Thickets Erupt with every touch of breeze. So I have the 3 plants again, so I'm getting 1 fear off the top. I get to remove this blight. So it does not go into blight card. Remember, it goes over there in the adversary card. And ultimately, I'm doing 4 damage. So it's going to be enough to wipe out this city, and I'll injure the other city. So that's 2 health left. I get 1 damage per beast. That'd be huge. That gives me 2 fear. So the fact that I had to do this in a different order and I did not have a sacred site to actually do this first hurt me a little bit. So if I had seen that come in last turn, that could have been better. You know what? we'll do this. Instead of playing Tuning to the Jungle, I'm going to play Carapaced Land. Same elements, we're good there. And I'm actually defending 6. Defending 6 in land 2 for the win, kids. I don't need to play Tuning to the Jungle. I have Carapaced Land. That was a really nice card drop. Oh, I need to add an Explorer to a land that does not have one. I needed to do that after the last Explore step. I could have added this to land 7. I don't want to add it to a land that doesn't have anything. It's just really risky. No, I would have added this to land 3. Why not? So Carapace Land is done. The event card for this turn is Urban Development. No, we're not healthy. So just dawned on me when I realized Healthy Island, Blighted Island, that I was looking at stage 1 where I should have been looking at stage 2 or 3 last turn. We were clearly in stage 2 or 3. Instead of Waiver for Cognizance, which I said 3,000 times for no reason, and I'm sure you are laughing at my bubbles already, what I should have done is in each land with 2 towns, replace half the towns rounding up with cities. I had 4 towns in land 7 when this came off, so I should have had 2 cities instead of those 4 towns. That changed literally nothing else. There were no other lands that had 2 towns on the board. Everything else was cities, in large part thanks to the Blighted Island card. So in some ways that kind of worked out for us. Great. Now, Blighted Island. In each board with invaders, add a blight to a land with at least 2 blight, but do not cascade. There are no lands with 2 blight. Actually, there's only 1 land with 1 blight, but I need to get another blight on that card, and then we could dump 3 more blight onto the Blighted Island card, which would be really nice. Lingering Plagues. On each board, add a disease. Ignore disease during builds this invader phase. I will put this disease in land number 1. Now, land number 4. We do have a source to 4. Nothing that activated the beast. Unfortunately, would have loved to have killed that city, but we will overcome, kids. We're now going to go to Fierce Mean. 1 fear per land with invaders. We're to Han outnumber cities and towns. That only applies in land 3, so it gives us a second fear card. We are in Terror level 2. Hope for some magic. Panicked by Wild Beast. Each player adds a strife in a land with or adjacent to Beast. Invaders skip their normal explore and builds in lands with Beast. Hello. So I'm going to add a strife in a land with or adjacent to Beast. I'm going to add it to land 3. And we're skipping the normal explore and build in lands with Beast. Of course, I do not have any Beast in 3. I just moved them all to 2. Oh, it's so bad. I should have left 1 behind in 3. But we're not going to be building in land 7 at least. Well, we're not going to be building in a lot of lands and not exploring to a lot of lands. They do have so many beasts all over the board. That's not exactly what I needed, but it will do. Each player removes 1 explorer and 1 town from a land with beast, or 1 explorer from a land adjacent to beast. Remember, I cannot remove explorers. I can just push them. I don't have any land that has a beast, an explorer, and a town, so I can't do everything, but I can just remove this town from land 7, and that will go there. Not exactly what I was hoping for. Ravaging in 2, nothing because we're defended 7. We are skipping our normal build in land 7, but we are getting a city in land 2, and I have to add a town to an adjacent land with the fewest towns. That's going to be 2 because there are no towns in 2, no towns in 5, and no towns in 4. We're going to the explore step. Again, skipping it in lands with beasts. We're exploring into what? Coastal lands. Now we don't have to worry about the escalation, which is nice, but we do have to do this. 2 explorers into 1. We are skipping the explorer into 2 because there are beasts there. 1 explorer into 3. Invader cards advance. And I have to add an explorer to a land that doesn't have any. I will add this explorer to land 7. Time passes. Isolate token comes off. This city heals. This town also heals. I'm going to add a presence to a jungle or a land with beast. I'll add this presence to land 3. I'm going to reclaim 1. I'm going to reclaim Carapaced Land, and I'm going to get 3 energy by choosing growth option 4 again. I'm going to play Carapaced Land, prey on the builders. I don't have the extra mountain to get the extra defend 3. Should be okay. It's a little risky. I'm going to do the special power during the growth. I'm going to take that presence off and make it a beast. I got to figure out my 3rd card play this turn. I think Terrifying Chase makes some sense. Cost me 2 total. Let me turn this presence into a beast before I lose it because of the blight. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that for sure. All right, so Carapace land. I'm defending 3 and land 3. They're still ravaging 5, so hopefully something will allow me to move one of these explorers. Let me do my element check. I have 1 moon, 1 fire, 2 plant, and 1, 2, 3, 4 animal. That's going to give me the first level of frenzied assault, and it's going to give me all 3 levels of ranging hunt. I'm going to do ranging hunt. I get to gather a beast. I'm going to gather a beast from 5 into 2, bring a presence. I get to do 1 damage per beast. I'm going to do 2 damage to the town and wipe out one of these explorers. Generates a fear. That's just a smarter play. If I kill this city, they're going to build the city back, and I'm going to have to add a town that way, which isn't good. And then I get to push 2 beasts. I'm going to push 1 beast down into 3, 1 beast up into 1, move a presence into 1. Prey in the builders. I may gather a beast. I don't want to, but if the target land has a beast, it's not going to build this turn, so we're not going to be building in 1. Terrifying Chase is a slow power. Go to the event card. Smaller parts bring up. We're in stage 3. So over here, the extent of building an esport, building a land with invaders not matching a build card. That's only going to be land 7. So that gets a town. Stricken in lands with disease or strife, invaders skip ravage actions. So we have a strife in 3. So that's probably for the best. And settlers encroach too far. And each board choose a land with a town and Dahan and push 1 town per 2 Dahan. They encroach too far, but it doesn't matter for inland lands. Oh, this is weird. So I have to push this guy out, which is really bad. Oh my God. This is the worst event card ever. So we move the dude with strife. So instead of stricken applying, now the thing with strife is in land 2. So we are going to be blighting in 3 and blighting in 7. Oh, that's really rough. That's a bad event card. Not what I needed. This is a crazy game, man. All right, so ravaging. Ravaging in jungles. We get a blight in 7. We get a blight in 3. That makes me lose a presence. That's destroyed. That could come back in if there was an effect that allowed me to put destroyed presence back in play. We're building. Skipping the build in 1 because of preying on the builders. We are going to put a town into... Oh, and by the way, when they ravage in 3, this Dahan was defeated. It was ravaging 5. I was defended 3. This Dahan retaliates. I'm going to do 1 damage to the city. I'm going to wipe out this explorer. That will make sense in a second. So now we're building. We're going to build a town into 3. So again, there was a city, a town with strife, and 2 explorers. I had to push a town with strife there, which meant that it actually ravaged. I had 2 Dahan, 1 went away, and I wiped out one of the explorers in the ravage action. So now when it built, I didn't have to worry about France doing all its extra builds as well. We now go to the explore step, exploring into mountains and wetlands. We get 2 explorers in 8. We get 2 explorers in 4. We get 2 explorers in 5. And we get 1 explorer in 2. Add an explorer to a land without any. I will add this explorer to land 6. Invader cards advance. I'm going to do frenzied assault. I'm going to target land 3. I'm going to get 1 fear. I'm going to do 2 damage, which is going to be enough to wipe out that city. That's 2 more fear. That's a fear card. And I remove the beast that is in 3. That additional loss condition is creeping up. Very much so. I'm going to target land 1 with Terrifying Chase. I'm going to push up to 2 explorers, towns, or Dahan. I'm going to push 1 explorer into 7 and the town into 2. Push another 2 explorers, towns, or Dahan per beast. I'm going to push 2 more Dahan. And if you pushed any invaders to fear, basically both the Dahan and invaders are being chased thematically, which is pretty wild. And now we go to time passes. I'm going to reclaim 1. I think I have to reclaim Carapace land. I think I need to reclaim everything because I want Carapace land in 2 and I want Mesmerized Tranquility in 3. I just need something to animate the beast. We're not building in 4, but if something animates the beast, we won't have to worry about that much about all the building. I'm going to reclaim my cards. It costs me 1. I get a power card, Illusions of Danger, Sucking Ooze, Favor of the Sun and Starlit Dark, and Sky Stretches to Shore. Don't think any of them are all that strong for me. I will get Favor of the Sun and Starlit Dark. I'm going to add a presence to a jungle or a land with beasts. I'm going to add a presence into 3. And now I have 3 card plays. Mesmerize Tranquility, Carapace Land. Getting close to Terra level 3. So that's something to keep in mind. I'll do Prey on the builders. Get 2 energy for the presence track. That's going to cost me 1. So I have a defend 6 in land 2 because of Carapace Land. I'm going to play Mesmerize Tranquility in 3. So this explorer is ravaging 0, and this town is ravaging 1. That's done. And then on land 5, I'm going to make sure it does not build. I have ranging hunt still. I do have the same elements, I think. 1 moon, 1 sun, 2 plants, and 4 animals. So I have the first level of frenzied assault again, and then we have this ranging hunt stuff. I'm just trying to get through these cities next turn, right? This is a little weird. So I don't actually have to leave that beast there to have the effect of prey on the builders, because when I resolve the card, that condition was met. So if I move that beast, this card is still in play, that power is still in play. So thematically, again, the beast was messing with the builders. So even if the beast left, they still weren't able to regroup enough to actually build. I do want to get a bunch of beasts into land 7 for next turn. That is kind of a big goal for me right now. So I am going to gather a beast into land 1 because it does not have a blight. I get to do 1 damage per beast there. That just wipes up that explorer. And then I'm going to push 2 beasts from land 1. I'm going to push them into land 7. And I'm going to bring both of these presents with it. Really just trying to set up for a win as a fast power next turn if I can survive the additional loss condition this turn. But remember, they're not building here. I have disease here. So I should be okay with the number of towns I have. Event card. Bam. Fortune Seekers. The next Explorer card matches. Nope, that's Healthy Island. Blighted Island. In lands without presence, it only takes 1 damage to add Blight. That is not going to affect me. Just good, because we are only doing 1 damage here, but I have presence there, so that's fine. Grim Toll on each board. Choose a land with disease. In that land, 2 damage to invaders and 2 damage to Dahan. So these 2 explorers are wiped out. And tell the old stories. Each spirit with at least 2 Dahan among its lands reclaims a power card or forgets a unique power it previously forgot. I did not forget any of my unique powers. So that's done. Fear card, Terror level 2. Dahan attack. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan. 1 damage per Dahan there. Wonder if I do it here so it only builds 1 town instead of 2. I'm going to do it in land 8. I know I could have done more damage there, but I'm going to get all that taken care of with this Ravage action coming up. No, it's going to be the same number of towns on the board. I will do it in land 2. So I'm going to do 3 damage to that city, 2 fear. That gives me a fear card. What do we get? Sense of Dread. On each board, remove 1 explorer or town from a land matching a Ravage card. I cannot remove explorers. I can only push them, but I can remove a town. I will push this explorer into 4. Again, I can't remove it, and I don't want to remove the town because this way I'm going to get the fear for it because I'm going to destroy it. Ravaging 5 in land 4. I'm defended 6 because of Carapace land. The Han fight back. The strife goes away, and we're going to wipe out these 2 towns and 2 of these explorers. That's 2 fear. Ravaging 1 in land 3. This Dahan is injured. He fights back, wipes out that town. That's a fear. Nothing to ravage in 1. We're building. We're not building in 5 because of prey on the builders. We have nothing to build in 4. We're building a town in 2. Oh, do I want to do that? Actually, when I removed this explorer, I definitely don't want to build there if I can help it. It doesn't make any sense. I would have just pushed this explorer into 5. So there's nothing to build in 2. Prey on the builders prevents the build in 5. Nothing to build in 4. We get a town and another town in land 8. Explore step, exploring into jungles and sands. So we get 2 explorers in land 6, 2 explorers in land 1. We are isolated in land 3, and we get 1 explorer in land 7. We have to add an explorer to a land without any. I will add this to 2. Invader cards advance. Slow powers. I will generate a fear in land 8. That gives me a fear card. I'm going to terror level 3. I'm going to do 2 damage. I'm going to wipe out this town, generate another fear, and I have to remove that beast from 8. We now go to time passes. I have 1 energy, but have a pretty easy path of pulling this off. So I get 3 energy from growth option 4. I'm going to add a presence into land 7. And then I'm going to turn this presence into a beast. I have 4 energy. I'm going to play Thickets Erupt. And now I just need 1 more plant, really. So who wants to be it? This heals and this isolate goes away. You can also reclaim a card. I'll reclaim Carapace Land because it's cheap. I'll do Carapace Land and Favor of the Sun and Starlit Dark. Fast powers out here. That cost me all my money. So let me do my element check. So I have the 1 moon. I don't have any fire. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 plant. And I have 3 animals. Remember, I opened up that last animal tag with that last presence being added. Since I have at least 3 plants, I'm going to get 1 fear off the top. I do 4 damage in land 7. That's going to be enough to wipe out that city and that explorer. That's 2 fear card. And I get to remove a blight. I'm going to remove this blight onto the card. Slow healing ecosystem. This 3 blight comes onto the blighted island card. And now I have all 3 levels of ranging hunt. So I'm going to gather a beast. I'm going to do 1 damage per beast. That is 6 damage. That wipes out this city, that town, this explorer. That's 3 fear. And that, my friends, is a terror level 3 victory. That was amazing. The build step would have been really rough because all those explorers would have turned into a lot of towns. But that was awesome. I thought I was super toast. Fangs is just really cool. It's a very, very tight puzzle. You don't have many margins. Again, I got thoroughly trounced in the last game, but I just felt like it wasn't a very good playthrough. And I don't mind putting losses on the channel, but I do want them to be at least interesting. And I just felt that wasn't very interesting. So on board D, again, I had a beast here, a beast here. You had that town here because of France. That became a city. I had no way to get in there early to do much of anything. So I just got shellacked. Again, the downward spiral, you saw how important to have that many beasts was. It just really made doing damage with ranging hunt that much easier. And downward spiral just kept robbing me of my power that I needed to really have a big turn. This was cool. This is a very, very fun playthrough. So yeah, these are really strong fear cards. It was all really set up for us to continue just to dominate the French and pay them back for the thrashing they gave my fearless friend Fangs earlier. I don't know if I would recommend Fangs as a pet to anyone out there, even you crazy dog lovers, but or bear lovers, or what is Fangs? Fangs has to be a bear, right? I'll say it's a puma. Is it a puma? Maybe a bear? Even you crazy animal lovers, because I don't even know what kind of animal this is. I mean, is a bear dog? We'll go with bear dog. That sounds good, right? I have a bear dog named Fangs, and he's not cuddly, but he's freaking awesome. And my dog can beat up your dog. So take that. This was super fun. I'm definitely a little bit delirious. We have coming up Thunder Speaker. So stay tuned for the lady of them all. The one who has been like, why don't you play with me as much as you used to? I am tired of you not taking me out of the box and just forgetting about me, because I did used to wine and dine her and loved the heck out of Thunder Speaker. And then, well, I don't know, we just got 12 more spirits that are awesome and are all really strong as well. So I've been busy, but we're gonna go back to her because she's incredible. And then after her, we have Trickster against Sweden, and rounding this whole strength versus strength series off with Many Minds versus England. That's gonna be a crazy one. So lots of exciting stuff with Spirit Island on this channel. If you want to see what else is coming up in solo playthroughs, You can go on my Patreon page at the end of every month. I do put out a schedule for the month to come, put it out about a week before each month, so you can see exactly what is happening and what the schedule is and tune in for anything that you want to see while you're there. If there is a tier of support that looks like it makes sense for you, I would appreciate your consideration of that. All the support to this channel really does help as I continue to invest in this channel with new equipment and new games to feature in the months and years to come. So that is the plan, at least. So thank you for considering that. In the meantime, all the likes, the comments, the watch time, the subscriptions, all of it has been really, really touching and really helped as this channel has continued to grow. So thank you all for that. I always appreciate you taking your time to join me with these adventures, especially when those adventures are with my favorite spirit on my favorite island, with Spirit Island. So thanks again, and until next time, happy gaming.